again, just ease of use. Again, the affordability. You're not buying TV spots. You're not buying billboards for tens of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. You're just buying, let's say, a social media post. And then again, it's a way to directly access those consumers to get them to hear about your product and get them to buy your product.
Okay.
So I think it's all opportunities. The only challenges would be is, let's say an athlete is not so smart with his or her brand. If they post something that is inappropriate or that gives off a bad impression of them, again, just as fast as you could do something good, you could do something poor. So being able to be smart and be careful with your social media is important.
That makes sense. Now, in terms of challenges, how do you see the role and opportunity for ambush marketing? So that doesn't necessarily mean that ambush marketing is a challenge. Could also be an opportunity. But how do you see ambush marketing through sponsorship?
Yeah. How do you define ambush marketing?
Basically, me as a brand aligning with an athlete who plays for a team or a league that my main competitor sponsors, but I can basically ambush that competitor through the partnership with the athlete, for example.
I don't know if I've ever heard of ambush marketing. Is it possible for you to give me an example just so I can give the best answer? I hate to keep doing this to your questions, but I want to make sure I'm answering them correctly.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you clarifying. So, for example, Adidas is the main sponsor, official sponsor of the Olympics, and was the main sponsor of the London Olympics 2012. And instead of sponsoring the Olympics, Nike basically just bought and sponsored a lot of individual athletes, and then used these athletes to launch their own commercials with Nike, and basically people thought that Nike was the official sponsor of the Olympics because Nike sponsored some Olympians. So instead of paying the hefty price tag for the event, Nike got all the benefits without the cost.
Got it. Yeah, that is a great example. So I guess then maybe just because we're a little bit more new school here at Tech, but it really is close to the end of, not the end, but traditional sponsorship like the Adidas is almost in the rearview mirror in that example, right? Where with Nike, I mean, one thing that we preach, and it goes back to the return on investment conversation we were just having, you need to be able to understand what, as a company, makes you the most revenue and what works for you marketing-wise. With Nike, it's running commercials, it's running digital ads. So what they wanted to do is partner with these athletes to post on their social media channels and collect cool content from them to use in their own ads. So that is something that Nike has done wonderfully. And again, I know ambush has a pretty tough tone to it, but I think it's a super intelligent move because it's really paid off for them. And I don't see any problem with it at all. I think it's an amazing opportunity with what they're doing. I mean, the same thing is even, let's say, with like Hulu Sports. Like Hulu has live sports. They don't have deals with the different leagues.
Yeah.
They're using those different athletes, and they're using them in ads. Consumers are smart. They know if you're working with Giannis Antetokounmpo or Joel Embiid or Devin Booker, you don't need to be partnered with, let's say, the NBA. They know they're NBA players. So they can understand that. You don't need to simplify it so much. They can connect two and two together. The same thing with FanDuel. I've actually seen them do this where if you see an ad from FanDuel, you don't see NFL logos, you don't see NBA logos. They haven't paid for those license fees. They see, instead of the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's just PIT versus another team. And they use the same color scheme and they put them on a football player. Again, it's, like you said, ambush marketing. But again, the consumers are smart. I'm a football fan. I'm seeing that ad. I know PIT with black and gold colors is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't need you to totally spell it out for me. So I'm actually a huge fan of that. Again, it just needs to be well thought out and strategic. But brands like Nike and FanDuel and Hulu are writing a playbook for it.
So it's almost like these social media platforms provide more opportunities for athletes to, call it, ambush their sponsors, or not their sponsors, but their leagues and their teams, right?
So I wouldn't say that because I hear you, the leagues and the teams would be missing out on revenue. But then again, if you're, let's say Hulu, and you're FanDuel, you're driving, again, attention to these NBA players. So the next day Giannis Antetokounmpo and Joel Embiid are probably playing games, then now you've seen them in an ad, you want to now see them on the court. So I think any intention is really good intention, especially for these leagues that are growing in size. Like, I mean, you can't even quantify it. These NBA free agents, they spent over, I think it was $3 billion on the first day of NBA free agency.
Yeah.
I think Hulu had to let lots do that. So I do think when you say ambush, I don't think it's taking away. I understand how you mean that, but again, I think using those athletes and just getting them as much press as possible, it is a good thing for the leagues, even if it's not direct. It is drawing more attention and it's drawing more awareness to those leagues in general.
Okay, that makes sense. I can take that. Just to follow up on Adidas, since that call it Olympic debacle of London, they've completely changed their strategy, going away from sponsoring teams and only focused mainly on the athlete themselves. So that was an outcome of that ambush from Nike back then. Just to close the loop here on the example.
No, that's super interesting.
2 more questions. How does the future of sport branding look for sponsors?
How does the future of sport branding look? I think it's more of the same. It's power to the players. Players are going to be continuing to make their own brands. It's not the best example, but the Lonzo Ball, him making his own shoe company and not going with Nike or Under Armour, starting his own shoe company. Why depend on these brands now when the player could be their own brands and the players can build, like LeBron James moving to LA to start uninterrupted, Kevin Durant starting his own venture firm. So I think it's going to be more power to the players who again have that ultimate trust with those fans.
Yeah. Okay. That.
And I think it's going to tend to move social.
Okay. I can see that. I agree. I think it's a massive shift, more and more to the athlete and away from that league and team following. Now, if you were to ask one specific research question that you would want sport management academics to answer, and I think you alluded to that earlier on a little bit, what would that research question be? What do you want to know from if you could just tell us as an academic field, here is what I need to know about sports sponsorship.
Yeah, I think you're asking me to ask a question, but that's a really good question. I would ask them to be able to simplify what the ROI of sports sponsorship is and how you can. I would say it's more of a challenge. Nike and Adidas and DraftKings and Hulu, the brands we spoke with, or Nike and Adidas, let's say, and then we'll do, they have a relationship with sports, obviously. So them sponsoring sports is a no-brainer. But if they can be able to simplify sports branding and sports marketing and be able to speak the same language as brands that have never done sports sponsorship before, so think like a pet food products or a men's hair loss product, they can connect with athletes too. They just don't know what the return would be. Mm-hmm. They're basically simplifying it for them because with pet food brands, they're running ads the same as Nike is. They're spending a lot less, but they're running ads. Why not use athletes who are dog owners, who are cat owners? For men's hair loss products, why not work with athletes who are losing their hair to be able to, again, validate their brand just as Nike and Adidas do? Athletes are people too. So the shift towards athletes and the shift towards players brings a lot more spotlight on these players and their everyday lifestyles. They're everyday people too. So being able to help those brands understand how to get into sports sponsorship, how to measure sports sponsorship, and how to make it a real part of their marketing annual budget, I would ask that from them to, again, be able to simplify that entire process.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's a great answer. I totally agree. And interestingly, that the other people that I spoke to, so professional athlete has talked about ROI of social media. The athletic director of Temple has talked about ROI of brand building and social media. Even FIFA, they're talking about ROI. So your answer is spot on, but I really like the distinction where you say it's about not just the athlete, the sport brand, but then also the non-sport brand, and simplifying that process. So I think